Flavia.
All right.
So
Just
we're-
as a reminder, if you guys can silence your phones. Did you see anybody over there?
We'll ask once.
I just-
No.
Thank you. All right, we're good. Are you good, Tony? Just to make sure.
Yes.
All right.
Randy has not joined yet
Randy?
from the
Okay,
other.
so we just wait for Randy.
I message him.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, that's Russ.
Just waiting on Randy to get.
He's on. He just
He's on.
joined.
Yep.
Yep, he just joined.
All right, so it's 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and, do you want to, Tony, do you want me to open the public hearing? Or you want
Yes,
to go,
I'll
you want to read?
reconvene the board. The board was on a recess after the earlier meeting ended early. So, Madam Chair, if you could reconvene the meeting of the Board of Supervisors.
All right,
The purpose of the hearings, there's two hearings, two public hearings, as noticed and advertised. One is the budget, a consideration of adopting the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget of the district. And the second public hearing is a consideration of, receive public comment on and public hearing. Consider the imposition of non-ad valorem special assessments on lands within the district to fund the fiscal year adopted 2025-2026 budget, the adoption of a final non-ad valorem special assessment role, provide for the levy, collection, and enforcement of the special assessment, and consider the adoption of Resolution 2025-22, making a determination of special benefit and imposing special assessments and certifying an assessment role for the adopted fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. And if you could, click on 15A, Laura, or Chelsea, on the hyperlink. No, on
Yeah, hang on.
there we go. There's a affidavit of publication from the Fort Myers News Press with regards to the placement of an advertisement. If you can go to the second page of that, there should be another one also. The affidavit for resolution 20. Oh, okay.
I know they're both in there. Is it the?
Yes, that was 2025-18 that was advertised, I believe, or, no, okay. I will try.
There's more seats in the front if you want to. Can't hear in the back.
Bear with me, Madam
There's
Chair,
room in
if
the
I
front.
access this on the
No
district
problem.
website.
What are you looking for? Sorry.
Let me go to the agenda.
notice affidavit.
That's what this is.
Oh, there should be an
This is the
affidavit.
second one. This
Yeah.
is for B.
If you go to go to that one, public hearing affidavit, 15A. Yes, click on that. Then if you can go to that second page and enlarge that. That's the affidavit of publication for the public meetings and public hearings to receive the public input on the budget, and also references the second meeting and public hearing to consider adopting the resolution imposing non-ad valorem special assessments. So we have the affidavit of publication for the budget hearing, and then staff will introduce the budget, and the board would open the public hearing first. Staff introduce the budget, the board would take public comment, and the board then close the public hearing and consider adopting the fiscal year 2025 budget, 2025-26 budget. So Madam Chair, I think it'd be appropriate now to open the public hearing.
All right, so the public hearing is now open.
Okay.
You want to go ahead and present the,
So just for those that are in the audience, please make sure that you sign in. And then if you would like to speak, there's a little half sheet in the back that you fill out and then bring up here. We do have Stephen Bloom here with Infomark to do a short presentation that we do every year on the budget. So I will turn it over to him and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, and also then, again, anybody who wants to speak on this proposed budget, register and sign up to speak. After the presentation by staff, make your objections, comments known to the board.
Or voice, Stephen.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
You usually have a good outdoor voice.
I do. Is this good? You guys hear me? Okay. If I waver, please, let me know. Okay. So, good evening, Stephen Bloom from Infomark. Happy to be here today. So we do have some slides to go through. The first thing I want to mention here is the numbers that I'm going to talk about are from your approved version. And I say that because obviously there could certainly will be discussions and there could be changes during the public hearing. But what you're going to see here is the approved version.
Steve, can you explain the approved version?
Sure.
To the public?
And again, back in, wow, what has it been? June? June, when we had basically an approved version of the budget was adopted. And again, that is what was included as a part of the mail notices, the numbers that went out in there, the chart, the key chart, that was what was advertised with all of those numbers. That's probably, what you, maybe the pieces of paper you brought with you have. So we're trying to match that up. And then from there, obviously, the board will have the opportunity and listen to discussions on making changes. And I know there are definitely going to be some, but I wanted to mention that up front because confusion with numbers, there's a lot of numbers in these slides, and I certainly don't want to, confuse anything. But with that, we'll start kind of here with an executive summary of everything. So staffing, you can see there's a net reduction of 1 position. Again, this is compared to your 2025 budget. The actual wages, again, year over year decreased by a little bit over 19,000. There is your 4% wage increase that's in this budget. Now from there, you can see the next bullet point. I'm talking about spending here in terms of looking at, year over year. In the version that you have, again, this is the based on the approved version. So again, you can look at it, you can see, now keeping in mind here that the capital projects are included in here. You can see from looking at the enterprise fund with a 2026 proposed budget for you, but a little bit over, 27.6 million. Again, that includes quite a bit of capital projects that I will mention. And again, so forth for the general fund and obviously for the Pelican Preserve. That bottom part of the chart there is the assessments. That kind of takes a look, and now that includes debt service, that includes your Lake Bank bonds. All of that is in that annual number. And again, we've got some additional slides that breaks that out, but just want to make sure when you're kind of thinking of this, that you're talking about, basically additional bond for both Gateway and Pelican Preserve, and then for Gateway, the Lake Bank as well, obviously is included in there. So single family, the increase year over year is about $154.84. Again, approved. That's about a 13% change, and obviously we'll talk about that more. The multifamily has got $126.05, and again, that's a little bit over 13%. And you can also see the Pelican Preserve. Again, single family, $141.18. I'm specifically talking about the change year over year at almost $55 for multifamily. So this is the chart. Again, this was the main one that's been advertised and in your mail notices. From left to right, it breaks it down by funds. So the first thereafter, the product type is the general fund. Then from there, it goes into Lake Bank, shows you your debt service, grand total, compares it against last year, change in percentage. And you can see here just looking at the first one, again, it's an echo of what I just said. Gateway single family, a 13% increase, and then you can go down if you wanted to look at the Pelican Preserve single family. That is what the 12% point to. So this is just a summary of it. I did include the O&M only, so you can see this. And again, it's O&M for both the general fund and the Pelican Preserve, because obviously, the methodology now is different and combined. And you can see there, again, this is strictly, and it's good to kind of see the breakdown of that, by the way, based on the new methodology. It shows you roadways, water management, what does that cost look like, parks and recs, total admin, and just kind of splits it out. It gives you just a little bit more of a background, a little bit more color on what the different dollar amounts. Again, it all gets added up to give you one assessment amount per unit for 2026. It also is grossed up for discounts, and again, the change over year over year. I talked about staffing already. Here's a little bit of a breakdown for you. Again, net reduction of 1. It's compared to 2025. And when you look at it, the real changes are between the parks and recs / other and pools. They kind of got combined, and again, one reduction. The main department, your utility services, you're seeing there is no change. This gives you a little bit of a staffing trend. Kind of, again, it's only 5 years, but you can see, when you look at, you consider the growth, but then you look at your utility department, you only have, a net plus of 2 over 5 years. And then again, some of the, administration has basically stayed the same over 5 years. Again, just gives a little bit more color as to, again, operations and public works is a little bit different. I combined the parks and recs and pools in this particular chart, but even that, is going actually down 2. So again, not a whole lot when you compare it over 5 years. You're talking, a net of 8 positions. Now from this point, I have a slide on each of your significant funds, again, to provide some more details on this. Some of this is kind of repeats itself, but some of the bigger numbers that I really wanted to make sure that I addressed are some of the key initiatives that obviously that the board has talked about, but it's worth mentioning. Gross assessments, again, this is for the general fund, is going up by $578,000. The budget includes, as it stands right now, $279,000 that gets transferred to your capital projects. Again, this transfer is a function of looking to the future, trying to make sure that there's some small amount for future projects. There is a use of bond proceeds and carry forward in this budget of about $8.86 million. Again, bond proceeds is like it sounds, it's from prior years. It's from the 2023 bond that is now going to be used to fund some of the spending. Interest income, $175,000. Again, it's worth mentioning in the sense that is from the hard work of investing the money, making sure that you are utilizing your cash to get some more interest. Again, goes back into to cover spending. The Lee County Park impact fees are in here. And that's a little bit under 500,000. And then again, it just kind of showing you a little bit of a chart on where again, this is just O&M between the multifamily and the single family. Again, we've talked kind of about this, but it gives you some more information. On the spending side, so it's an increase of about 9.6 million. And again, thought it was really important to kind of show you the big projects that are in here. And I'll kind of explain why here in a second, but Gateway Commons construction, 3.2 million, your admin building, 1.9 million, public works, a little bit 3.5, waterways, 850,000, and then kind of in all other category. And again, not all of these projects, just for clarity purposes, is new money that's going to be generated. Again, we've got bond proceeds that are covering this. You have carry forward that are covering this. And I say that because when you look at the next section, taking out, kind of pulling away the capital projects, the increase is about $368,000. Even that, you can, if you notice and you look at that, I've got stuff in red. A lot of my notes on there are showing you that really this changes are about moving some of the payroll around, meaning it's in one department and summarize it into other places. Within that 368,000, 206 of it is in one line item for tree line for was it Meriscape, and then some increase in utility fees. So beyond that, you do not have, you know, a lot of money that's being increased in the general fund, and that's obviously by design to try and keep that down. So, okay, Pelican Preserve, about increase of 471,000. Again, this is O&M. There's no change in the well, actually, there's no annual assessment for 2013. There is a use of reserves and a use of bonds in here that are covering some of the cost. The net increase in your expenditures is about 1.1 million. And again, I have noted all of the big items in there, the admin building, waterway, landscaping actually is going down. A couple things going down, operating expenses, safety and security is being increased, and I've kind of noted some of those roadways, gatehouse, street lights. I provided again another trend chart for you to kind of see, you know, fiscal year 2022, multifamily was $913.55. And then in 2026, it's $1,148.17. And you can see single family is right below that. Now, next up is the utility department. We got an increase in terms of what's budget of $651,000. That is your utility billing revenue. You actually have a net decrease in your operating expenses. And that decrease is even including what's put in there for as a proposed 10% increase in your water and wastewater purchases. A part of the increase is your principal and interest payments on your loans, state revolving loans are going up. That is part of the different programs. Those are loans that are already in place. Your reserve program, again, looking towards the future, you have reserves in there about 1.2 million. I've noted your projects. You got a little bit under 20 million in projects. We've, you know, kind of talked about the meter project, force main and admin building. Again, similar to the other loans, the spending has already been taken care of. You've got a loan proceeds, quite a bit of 10 million. You've got grants, 4.6 million that's covering it. And then some reserves of 4.9 million. I keep mentioning that over and over again, and because again, you see the top line expenses in the summary and you're thinking, wow, those are big numbers. Am I being assessed this next year for that? And the truth is no. There's bonds, there's different funding sources that are already in place to cover them. And that's kind of why I'm repeating myself a little bit here. Next up is your debt service funds. Again, this is the 2023 ones. There's two of them, about 940,000 in principal and interest payments. I did note in there that really the first time that the residents were assessed for this was in this year, 2025. Prior to that, there was capitalized interest as a part of the bond. Again, the assessment trend here is going to be level because the amount every year is going to be the same. I have showed you both the 2023-1, which is the Gateway series, and then the 2023-2, which is the Pelican Preserve series. Next slide, this is the Lake Bank restoration. There's an increase in there again. As a part of this particular fund, we only assess per whatever loan amount is due in the next year. Meaning there are a couple loans, I think at least one, that in 2027 is when the first payments start. So we do not assess ahead of time for that. What you're seeing here in this particular chart, again in 2026, which is $154.82, only covers the loans that are active. And by active, I mean that principal and interest payments are due in 2026. Of note, your original borrowing there is 17.3 million. Your current outstanding is 14.5. I have tried to summarize, and again, there's obviously a lot more detail that goes in to your capital, but I basically tried to summarize it into one slide. Again, just to give some background. Obviously, you've got a lot of different categories. This particular one that you're seeing here is a 6-year plan. Again, each one of these projects are reviewed. Each one of these funding sources are discussed. For 2026, the total there is a little bit under 30 million. We've been talked quite a bit about carry forward balances. So we did go through and look at again, we started with 2024, and then we did an estimate for this year, 2025. We also included your bond interest income. And again, you can see here, when you look at those 3 columns and add them up, they're a little about $4.6 million. Again, we've also split them out for you by fund. And again, the different categories, and we tried, certainly for 2025, it's conservative. We wanted to make sure that we did not put money into your carryover that will be needed for projects. Okay, next chart. And again, this particular one kind of shows you some options. And basically what we're doing with this, and again, there's 3 here, each box represents an option. And basically what it's saying is, if I were to put some of my reserves into the current budget, say, okay, here's where we are, and I mentioned, remember, it was 13% of an increase. If I were to use some of the carry forward, these charts show you what the new assessment rate will be. I won't go through every one of them because I know you're going to want to discuss the options quite a bit, and we certainly have our file available. Laura will be able to run through scenarios and take things in and go through each one of these. But basically, kind of the final decision before you adopt it will be which one of these boxes are you interested in kind of putting into your budget. And then the last one, I always try and put in your reserve balances. Again, being very conservative, but also giving you some idea, reminding you that you do have, for example, emergency reserves in the general fund and your Pelican Preserve. Pelican Preserve always has done a great job of splitting it out into a lot of specialized categories. And then I'm showing you Stony Brook and Town Lakes, the enterprise as well. The blue box that kind of goes towards the bottom there, kind of is reflective of what potential other available balances, some carry forward and stuff that would be available. And again, when you start looking at other available funds, it's really going to be at the board's discretion and based on other priorities and stuff. But this is kind of one of those reference charts that I like to put in here and gives, sometimes during the discussion, it's always good to kind of refer back and see what is in your reserve balances. Okay, a lot of numbers. For those of you who like numbers, it's great slides, but certainly answer any questions myself. Obviously, you have some other things you want to talk about, but certainly available for you.
Madam Chair, if I may, again, just get on the record beforehand. As I mentioned before, we have the notice of the affidavit of publications, and the budget was posted on the district's website, and
Correct.
the time frame is required by Florida statutes,
Correct.
at least 2 days before the budget hearing,
Oh, it's up well before that,
well
yes.
before that. And then we have these was placed twice in the newspaper, the Fort Myers News Press on July 16th and July 23rd. And otherwise, the notice and publication requirements as provided by Florida statutes have been complied with regards to giving the public notice. There's a posting on the door of the building, this building, that there's overflow seating if no seats are available here over at the church, and that overflow seating availability was also referenced in the public notice that was in the news press. So,
Thank you, Tony. Go ahead.
So you've had plenty of meetings since we adopted the high water mark. And there's been, I think we're on version 6 of the budget. And like to just touch on some of the things that have changed since the last time you have seen version 5. So with that, I'll turn it to Laura.
Thank you, Stephen.
Oh, I put it on my computer so I don't lose it.
Then
I'm
I
like,
think-
where did my sticky
And Madam
note
Chair,
go?
also, I think Supervisor Plankow had some questions after the presentation by staff
Yeah, so
as to
do
three
you want
options.
to, should we go over those options now prior to Laura going over?
I think that'd be a good idea to have that
Okay,
full
so Carol,
discussion.
you want to bring it up?
So yes, if you could pull up the slide that he had with the three different options, the yellow,
forwards.
blue, and green,
Carry forward.
the carry forward.
Before we dive into that, so at the last board meeting, the board had requested for us to for staff to go back and try to evaluate and how to get our assessment rates down. And so since then, staff, Laura, has really put together some numbers and different options on how to fund reserves or not fund reserves, and then utilize carry forward money, or Ed, what do you like to call it? Retained earnings, thank you, on how to get the proposed assessments under double digits. So go ahead, Laura.
Okay.
One second, and this is in addition to the multiple iterations of cuts and modifications that we've done since the original approval to date.
Very-
Correct.
We'll go over those.
6 different versions.
6 different versions.
I think this was based on version 5, which was the version that was presented at the last board meeting. So the, the first chart in here is the one with the yellow one. And what I did is the reasoning behind the 279,000 for funding the reserves is because that's the same amount of reserves that we funded for the current year's budget. And the board said, let's see what happens if we fund the reserves at the same as what we're doing now. So that's where the 279,000 came from. I did it as if we would do nothing. Well, let me preface this because you're going to notice that it's only 12% versus the amount that was in the slides earlier, and that was in the approved budget. The new charts are actually less because we've made more changes, but some of the changes that we made to help get it down without funding the reserves, we found that the contract price for our street sweeping was incorrect. It was listed in the budget at 47,000. It's actually 11. The board had given us a COLA fund of up to $100,000. Chelsea and I took a real hard look at that, and we believe we can do what we need to do with 75. So that was another $25,000 that came off. There was a small adjustment to the auditor. The original approved one, we had some problems, had to go with this with our second choice. So that increased the auditor cost by $7,500. And then we also talked about using interest earnings for the bond projects to not have to assess for some of those extra costs that were above and beyond the amounts that were originally covered in the bond. So that's why these numbers you're going to see here, without making any adjustments, are a little lower than what you just saw in that slideshow. And then when we get to the budget, they're going to be even lower. So this is like the middle ground, but I just was trying to explain kind of how we got here. So we were tasked to come up with a number to try to get to 10%. So that was where I plugged in and played with numbers. And if we used $140,000 of the retained earnings reserves, whatever you would like to call it, carry forward, that got us down to 9.9%. And if we went to $170,000, I was trying to get around 9.5%, and that got us to 9.4. So the impact of playing with the reserves and the carry forward only affects Gateway. It does not affect Pelican. This is just the general fund that I did this stuff in. So none of these changes affect Pelican. Pelican takes care of their own. They made some changes. So then I did the same with funding the reserves at $100,000. Again, using no carry forward, trying to get just under 10%, and then again matching it up at about 9.5. And then I did it again with not funding the reserves at all. And that actually started us out at 9.6%. And then I got down to 9 and then 8.5.
And Laura, these numbers are all inclusive, which include the debt.
Debt service, that's everything. This is all in. So this would be the final total assessment, O&M and debt service.
So with that, we'll turn it over to the board and see if you have any conversations or discussion. Any questions for us?
I'll have Carol go over.
So my question to my other board members would be, what are your feelings about yellow, blue, or green? And at what levels?
I'm inclined to go with yellow, which is 279, what we had before.
So funding the whole 279 in the reserves. And then which of the carryover numbers would you be looking at then?
The whole 170.
170?
Yeah, and I think the funding reserves is important. And we're barely scratching the surface on the numbers that we have done calculations on and what's needed. So this gives us a portion of available funding in the future that we can have available to minimize total funding at the point of whatever time we need to facilitate whatever project we're doing. The one question that I have is I posed this earlier, but I think it should be talked about in this meeting. So the 170 is an arbitrary number that was pulled to get to 9.4. We were to increase that number to lower the percentage. What impact does that have? So if we pulled more dollars to offset, let's say if we wanted to get to 8.5, just hypothetically, and we pulled more money in, how would that impact the district and the residents either this fiscal year or next?
I can answer that. In the break between the board meeting and this meeting, with the changes that we made since I published this and funding the reserves at 279 and doing 170,000, we actually are down to 8.4.
8.4 would be
The increase.
if we don't do anything else in this
Correct.
meeting today.
Yes, with the changes that
With
I
the
already
changes we've made.
mentioned, funding the 279,000 and using 170,000 to carry forward, it was at 8.4.
But so still answer the question. If we were to go on top of that, let's say if we wanted to just pull, instead of the carry forward being used at 170, what if we doubled that number? And I don't need the number. I'm saying the money that we pull forward, how would that impact us in the future? We wouldn't carry it forward to be part of operating budget for next year.
So typically, at the end of the year, the carry forward money goes into a reserve account, and that we have to either use as interest earnings or keep in the event of an emergency or something happens. So if you choose to use it, then you're spending it to buy down.
That's what I want to make
rates.
sure it's very clear. And while we just don't take all of it and absorb it back into, I want to make sure that's clear to everyone. So can you just explain that one more time? So we have the carry forward or the unrealized or the realized, what do you call it?
It goes
Retained
into-
earnings.
It goes into unassigned reserves.
Right. So what is the reason why we don't just pull all that forward?
Part of it is because we don't know what it's going to be.
Right. We don't know what that
So we
number
want
is.
to be careful that we don't overcommit, it's taking a stab. I think Stephen and I had talked. We want to make sure that whatever amount there's no problem doing it first, let me just say that. But the dollar amount is where it gets tricky because you want to make sure that we don't use more than we're going to have because we're not done with the fiscal year yet. We still have something could happen between now and the end of the year. And if we overcommit the carry forward and we can't support it, then we'll be short.
You know,
The other
bad things
concern-
happen.
Yes.
The other concern is separate from what we're discussing tonight, is our requirement to fund our capital reserves in the future. And even at the 279, we are not anywhere near the amount of money we should be putting there. So yeah, you could do it, but if you did it, that's fiscally irresponsible just to keep an artificially low rate. And sooner or later,
Gonna catch up.
we're going to have to pay.
So
Yeah, I know,
that-
but I was more for the audience. I know we know.
That money helps us fund what
Yes, we could.
The deficit of us not doing it in our budgeting
I
process.
could support it to the 279 in yellow, as Flavia said, but if you get below that, we're mortgaging our future. It's just not a
That's-
good thing
I
to
want to make sure
do.
that was clear to
Yep.
everyone why we wouldn't just pull more
And
money
I
forward.
agree with that also, but with one additional stipulation, as indicated earlier. When we come at the end of the year, November, somewhere in that neighborhood, we start having monies that what some call carryover, others call retained earnings. We've been very successful of having that money. But like Laura said, you just can't gamble away money that you're 100% sure that you've got. But I would stipulate that if we take and this money, pull it out, when we get the retained earnings, we put that money back in.
Absolutely.
We replenish.
I think that is the condition that we talked about it, so.
So does anybody have any questions for Laura or staff or Stephen right now?
No, we benefited from the earlier discussion. We just wanted to do it again for the public.
So, do you need a motion then?
No, we have to
No, we're not
open
ready
it.
yet.
We have to
No,
open
open
it
to
for
the
public.
I have public
No,
comments.
no, just for this.
No,
That we're
Well, no,
choosing,
I think what's important is that we have board consensus.
I think that's correct. And then open it for public comment. The public make the comment, the board will address issues and their comments or concerns raised by the public and have discussion amongst itself after the close of the public hearing, then discuss action the board would take.
and I would like to also reduce the budget by the $40,000 that is the amount that we pay to the
County
the
Sheriff's
county.
Office.
Yes,
Lease the
the Lee
cameras.
County Sheriff's Office for the cameras.
We don't pay to the sheriff, we pay to Flock,
We-
but it's for the license plate readers.
We own those.
Correct,
Those are ours. Didn't have anything to do with the county.
correct. So it's the license plate readers.
Yeah. Can we just talk about
License
that for just for 1 second? So
Yes,
if we choose not to renew the service, because that's what we're paying for, the 40K, renew the service, the cameras stay intact, they're just become non-operational. Is that, or do they pull, or are we leasing those cameras?
Release it, they take it all.
So if we stop, they withdraw the
pull them,
cameras,
correct.
we no longer have that service.
There's a $3,000
I was
charge.
gonna say, there's gonna be some payment here.
There's, because of how the two contracts were set up, so there would be a $3,000 charge for 4 of the cameras. We were at the renewal point, we can give plenty of notice for 6, but we'll have to spend that money to get out of that contract.
3,000 per camera or is it
No,
total?
that's total.
Okay, it's not, it's.
All 18,
3,000
all
versus
16 or 18.
We have 16, yeah.
Yep, that, we would get out of
And we
it.
have not signed the renew contract. I
Correct.
know you and I talked
We have
about this
not.
earlier. Okay.
Further conversation? What do we need to do now? I agree with that. I will second that if it's a motion.
We'll have public
not
hearing
right
open
now.
first and then later, yeah.
Again, the board has outlined and discussed the various options, and the public has a consensus of it, and so the board, public can then comment on both the budget that's been advertised, the budget that's been available, the budget that was presented, and also the discussion the board just had
Okay.
on certain aspects. I would suggest open up to public comment at the present time. And then at the close of the public comment, we close the public hearing, then the board have discussion about how to
And then make
address
the
the
votes.
issues that have come up, as well as any items that the public brings forward to the board.
I have just one question around that. I know you've done a lot of research on this. Is there, because I think when we had the presentation on it, we saw the numbers. At that point, there was, I could definitely see the reason why the county would want to have those cameras in place, because it gives them more ability for footprint coverage, for their purposes of identifying and potentially actioning adverse actions or activity. Where I think, where I personally, my feelings were, it was hard to directly correlate that, what we're paying, to actual benefit to the community in arrests or, whatever. It was more subjective than it was quantifiable, in my opinion. But have you looked at, are there cheaper alternatives for us for that?
We did look at other alternatives. They are not cheaper. And honestly, when I spoke to the competitor, when they found out what we were paying per camera, they said that was a pretty good deal. But obviously, $2,500 a camera is pretty costly once you get to 16 of them.
So in a nutshell, we are subsidizing capability for the county. Okay.
Did they give back, Lieutenant Vaughn report back to us what actions they had taken that we asked for? They did not have it when I went over there to LCSO.
I think the chair was following up on that.
Did they give you
Yeah.
anything?
No, so I follow up with him last week and the week before. He was working on it and I follow up with him during the meeting. And he pretty much told me that I needed to do a records request to get that information.
Okay.
And I'll just leave it at that.
If I could just chime in. I don't know if it makes any difference or not, but the thing with the flock cameras is any law enforcement can request access to the cameras. So I can tell you that right now, both Lee County and the city of Cape Coral have access to the information from the cameras. Oddly, the city of Fort Myers does not. So all they have to do is request it and they'll be granted access. But both the Lee County Sheriff and the city of Cape Coral, or Cape Coral Police, have access to the footage from those cameras.
And just one last question. Is there any other benefit to us having these? Is there any insurance discounts or any other benefit to us?
The district does not see any direct benefit.
Correct. Thank you.
The homeowners could see the benefit. It's the same as having a gate versus community, a gated community versus not, but it's up to the individual, up to them communicating
And the
that with the
insurance
insurance
agency, whether
agency,
they're,
yes.
yeah, okay.
Go ahead, Tony.
Madam Chair, I was just wondering if Laura or Chelsea could sort of calculate, based upon the discussions to date, on the carry forward amount, as well as the reduction in the budget from the cameras, what those numbers would be, so the public can hear that for their
I've
comments.
done everything but take the 40,000 out for the camera, so I can
Okay.
do that in just a minute.
Look who's here.
So it'd actually be 3,000, so I could take 37 out. You said $3,000 to get out of the contract?
We'll pay that.
Okay, so it'd be zero. All right, give me just a second.
Is there any other questions while she
So if we
reduces?
reduce that, we reduce about 37,000.
No, we'll pay it, get out of it this year. We have available funds, so. Any other questions regarding the budget? So one other thing I just want to add in is we did go through from when October through March, we went through a new assessment methodology, and we had every meeting of the board, we discussed the new assessment methodology. This budget will be the first budget with the new assessment methodology, which, you know, things were changed. You all decided on some of the changes on those formulas. So part of the impact is shown here too.
And maybe just for the audience's information, the advisory committee to this board from Pelican Preserve, the PPAC also spent the past 5 months reviewing their budgets, not only their subcommittees, but also the main budget, and they did make a reduction also, so that the amount of money that they are also using some carry forwards, and so that amount of money will reduce it down to 2.9, I believe.
Potentially, yeah, we can.
2.8, yep, that's already in there.
2.8
Yep.
from the published 12 something.
Yep, so here is, I'm just gonna put this up
Percents.
here. This chart is, I just removed the $40,000 that, for the cameras. This includes the yellow chart information with the $279,000 funding of the reserves. The changes that I mentioned earlier, the reductions from the numbers that we brought down, and then the one where we had to increase by the $7,500 for the auditor. And then this does also include the $170,000 of carry forward. So it went from where it was to 8% for Gateway single family homes. And you are down here at 2.8% now, because some of the changes that I made were in the shared costs for the COLA fund. So Pelican did get a small
It
reduction
just
from
ripples
that.
through the formula.
Just a little bit, yeah. The majority, everything but the staffing is just the general fund.
I have one quick question, just looking at on page 7. What is our fountain maintenance?
The roundabout.
Yes.
What is a dollar? What do we have budgeted for next year for maintenance?
Over there, sorry.
And our staff maintain that in-house. We went away from contracting it because.
Is that
So
why?
that's why the
is that
reduction
why
is zero?
Is that why I don't see anything? That's what it was.
There's nothing there.
That's why.
Yeah, it's, we purchase chemicals, so
That did change then, because we had it a few months, like
Maybe
during one of the phases of the budget, there was a dollar amount to that, and now it's zero. Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't miss that.
I've got a question to check the math. Laura, would you go back to the chart before? Keeping in mind this chart right here, the yellow, Gateway single family is 111 net change, okay? go back to the chart before you had. The chart we had that went out on the street, as I recall, or as I've got in my notes, was 1345.22. Okay, is that correct?
1345, yes.
1345.22 to 1285 is a reduction of $60. Where did 111 go?
It goes from here to here. It's the current, the recalculated number, not the 13. It goes off the actual number versus last year. It goes off the recalculated assessment, not the high water mark.
So, okay, so.
Because it's the real number, not the approved number.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to get the math of how, if we have 111 reduction, it's not 111 off of 1345.
No,
It's off of last year's number.
yes.
Last year's
The net change is the current is the fiscal 26 less the fiscal 25.
So the net result of what we have done totally takes the typical single-family owner in Gateway and reduces 1385 or 1345 to 1285.
Correct.
And again, this all assumes that after the board adopts the budget, which is a different document, that the board at its assessment hearing applies the assessment methodology in the manner articulated and previously approved to come up with the assessment unit numbers that are in here.
Correct. Yeah, this is just based on everything that all the changes that you've spoken about so
So
far, and with the methodology that you've approved to use to date for the budget.
So what I'm trying to get to is today, everybody got the good news that, or yesterday, either one, got their tax information. This number, if you live in Gateway, that number you got, add 1285.62. Is that correct?
If the board
If the board approves.
adopts.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that people understand, Tony, when they come over, we're talking a lot of stuff that I know when I was sitting on that side of the deal here, it was in Greek. Didn't understand half the stuff of what was going on. I want to make sure that when they come up, the specifics are how much is it going to cost me if we approve this? And that's the number I'm looking for, 1285.62.
Correct, and that's all in, that's O&M and debt service.
So you speak Greek now, right?
Now in English. Now in English.
Here and there. Yes, Tony. We'll go ahead and open the public
Oh,
hearing.
no,
It's
yeah,
nice
and for that, there's we received a letter, I received a letter, forwarded it to the manager, who has forwarded it to the board. It's couched as objections to district fiscal year 2025-2026 budget and imposition of special assessments. It's by Jennifer Kalinsky Esquire of Kalinsky Van Wyck on behalf of the Pelican Reserve Community Association, PPCA. That letter and all its attachments will be made part of the record. Noting the objections as outlined in there, that on behalf of the Pelican Reserve Community Association, Ms. Kalinsky objects to the imposition of special assessments utilizing the district's recently adopted operations and maintenance assessment methodology to the district's proposed fiscal year 2026 budget. And that PPCA continues to object to the application of the adopted methodology to the proposed budget. And that PPCA intends to further state objections on the record at the August 21st public hearing for the proposed budget and imposition of special assessments related thereto. So again, the full letter and all the attachments will be made part of the minutes and the record.
Thank you, Tony.
And do you want us, would now be the appropriate time, or do you want to open public comment? We'll mention Mr. Rod Senior's comments that he provided at the.
I think that'd be
regular-
appropriate also, yes.
Okay, I do have, during our board meeting at 3 o'clock, Rod Senior presented his public comments because he was unable to make the public hearing. He did supply a written copy of what he spoke about during the meeting, and that will also become part of the permanent record.
And he did email that to you, to your
The
district,
board,
to
yep.
to your district emails.
Yes.
And have you received any other, I'm sorry,
No other written comments,
not by
Nope,
fax
just
or
these.
email, hard letters, correspondence?
just
Okay.
those two, which I
Thank
got
you.
today, so.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, you ready to open public comment?
Okay, I'll call the name and I'll let you know who's up next. I have 3. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes to make your public comments. The microphones are awesome. Please state your name for the record when you get up to the podium, and once you state your name, I will start your time. There is a device on the board, or on the thing up here. It's got a green, yellow, red light, so it'll be green when you start getting close. It flashes yellow. When it flashes red, then your time is up.
If you would like to speak, make sure you fill out those half sheets and turn those in as soon as possible.
And I would suggest also that when the person signs up to speak, if they indicate if they're speaking on just the budget and then also want to speak on the assessment. I think because there's two public hearings, abundance of caution, they may want to say both, just to make sure they have enough time to provide their comments and objections.
And I'm sorry if I slaughter your name. Paul Vang is regarding the increase in taxes. And you can just step up to the podium if you please state your name for the record, and I'll start your time then.
Hi, my name's Paul Vans. I own a unit, 1,500 square feet. I have a small business, purchased a property about 9 years ago. And we get my property taxes, and then I noticed, comparing 23 to this new budget, and I noticed there was a $989 assessment. And of course, I didn't like it, but I paid it. I didn't come to a hearing to complain. And then this year, I got the paperwork again, and I noticed the increases were almost doubling my county taxes. And to me, that just seems very excessive. I'm all for reasonable increases, but to almost double my taxes in 2 years, it seems like if that's a trajectory, it doesn't seem tenable to me. I mean, double my taxes in 2 years. I have 1,500 square feet. It hurts small businesses. And any savvy buyer of commercial properties, I didn't realize I was buying in a CDD area. That could lower my property value. I mean, if someone comes in and says, oh, there's a CDD here, I'm not going to pay you what you're asking. So those are my concerns, and I appreciate the opportunity to voice it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, next up we have Warren Jewell regarding assessment fees. You can please state your name for the record, and then I'll start your time.
Hello, my name's Warren Jewell, representing Fort Myers Brewing Company. Really just, I have questions about the assessments and the increases for the commercial. I see them as an increase, but I'm looking up here and it shows like a decrease. So was there an actual increase or decrease from last year to this year for our assessment fees? I'm guessing yes. But really, what is the benefit to the commercial units for like the lake improvements? I mean, our drainage ditch in our lake hasn't been touched or maintained. Every time we get a strong rain, our parking lots flood out. And so really just, questions, just trying to see, what is what here. And if that can be explained in some layman's terms, I would appreciate it. That's really it.
Do you want to touch on that? Or you want to just take the public
I guess,
comments first?
do you have the address of the property that's involved?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 12811 Commerce Lakes
Yep.
Drive.
Got it on there. Thank you.
Yep.
Do you want to follow up after? Or?
Yeah, let's follow up after. Let's just go over the public comments first.
Okay, I have one more. Perry Dragon regarding budget.
I won't need anywhere near 3 minutes since our eminent attorney
You can
said most
just
of what I
announce
was
your
going
name
to
for the
say.
record, please.
My name is Perry Dragon, Vice President of Pelican Preserve Community Association. Just for the record, wanted to state that we object to the methodology that was used to generate this budget. And beyond that, our attorney sent a letter to you this morning or earlier today summarizing our position, so no need for me to reiterate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I have one more. Anyone else? Okay. Camila Saban regarding assessments.
I just have one.
Please announce your name for the record.
Kamala Sabin.
Sorry.
Okay. So was it a year ago that you guys added a special assessment of $1,000 per single family homes for the next 20 years? Is that correct?
That would be the 2023 bonds. No.
Can't hear you, Laura, I'm sorry.
It was there. It wasn't $1,000, but this is the first tax year we had the additional amount for the bonds, which were 20 years. But it,
But it is not $1,000 a year assessment.
Yeah, I made just a brief explanation. The district imposes what's called a debt service special assessment to help pay for long-term borrowing. There was a bond issue, a couple borrowings also by the bond issue for the administration building, parks and other infrastructure. And there was a bond issue, a validation of borrowing to do lake bank restoration. And so that comes under what's called a debt service special assessment. And again, Stephen Bloom may want to, Madam Chair, have Stephen again explain why that assessment's being levied
But
this
when
year.
did that go in effect? That's
Well,
what
I
I'm
think maybe
asking.
Stephen Bloom can best address that. And now the other component of the special assessment is the operation and maintenance assessment. Again, to pay for the operation and maintenance, upkeep, restoration, reconstruction, et cetera, of district assets and facilities and management and all those matters. And so I guess from the standpoint of when, Stephen, can you answer a question, or Madam
Like
Chair?
if you want to look up on the screen, the columns are actually on here.
Okay.
This column here is column G, and you can see it's $155 this next year for the lake, for a single family home for the lake bank. And then the 20 years that you were talking about for last year, it's $157, not $1,000.
Much like your municipal governments, we have an operation and maintenance. We have annual costs that if it's for sidewalks, the roadways, the landscaping, the ponds, that is our annual O&M. And then we took out long-term debt to cover large capital projects. And those are those two funds that she's referring to. So the first column, the general funds, is our annual O&M operation and maintenance. And then the other two are debts. So the new one, the new debt is that 2023 series.
I think what she may be referring to,
Well, let's ask her.
No, go ahead.
I'm wondering if, because where the confusion comes in, when we sent the letters out before we did the bonds, we sent out as if we were to borrow the whole
All the
sum.
money, that's
And it
exactly
would
right.
be about $1,000 a home for single family homes had we borrowed all of the
All the
money,
money
but
at
we
once.
didn't borrow
It's
all
gonna be
of the money.
staggered.
We only
Yeah.
borrowed some of the money. So
Again,
that's
I
why
guess-
it's only
If
$157.
we're just
Okay,
back,
so that 13, the 1,300 right there.
This one?
Yes.
That's the total. That's the operation and maintenance costs, which we have every year, plus the money for the lake bank loans, which are 20-year loans, plus the money for the bonds. So
That would be like
it's about
13.
$300 for debt service and the rest is operations and maintenance. So that's not on top of what you paid last year. Last year it was $1,190. This year it'll be $1,200. So it's not $1,100 plus the $1,200. It's just $1,200 total.
It's less than $100 increase.
Yeah, $95 more than last year.
I think what Laura's
Less than
referencing.
$100 a month.
Total.
Yeah.
That's a year.
Oh, okay.
That's
$1 year
per- that's
increase for
total
you.
for the year.
In other words,
For a
what-
month, the room would be full.
Yes.
That's why I'm like, okay, I just wanted to clarify.
in other words,
Yes.
in other words, if you received a letter in 2023 indicating you'll be paying X number of dollars,
I think that was for the full
That-
amount, yeah.
Yes, I know it
the
was.
district did what's called a bond validation to validate the borrowing to pay for the administration building, parks and recreation, and other physical capital projects. And at that time, we sent letters out to the property owners saying this is what the debt service would be if we borrowed the full amount over a period of time based upon certain
That's exactly
interest
right.
amounts. And then what happens is the district actually issues a bond series or amounts, then we know the actual number. And that's what shows up on this chart.
Correct. It is similar to like what we send out, the letter you get in July, we call it like our high water mark or like the worst case scenario. So that's what it was with that initial letter about the bonds. If we had borrowed all of the money, that was the most that you would pay. But we didn't borrow all of the money, just some of the
Possibly,
money.
we're just
it says.
guessing, we're assuming that's what it
Yeah,
was.
we call it like the high water, or yeah, possibilities.
Since we don't have the letter. Stephen, anything else you want to add to that, Madam Chair?
No, I mean,
Thank
just
you.
the clarification now is what it was. yes.
And while we're here, Flavia, if you don't mind, if I can just touch on Warren's question regarding the commercial parcels. Much like the residential parcels, you know, the benefits are landscaping of all of our rights of way, sidewalk maintenance, roadway maintenance, pond maintenance. We have the parks and rec facilities. If you're a property owner, you can come, you can get a pool pass. You have access to staff if you have any questions. Your utility bill is paid separate. That is not part of this. The street lights, that was a big project that we did. I
So
think.
there are benefits to both resident and commercial.
From last year's assessment to this year's assessment, what's my increase?
Well, Warren, we can pull your property specifically and we can
Yes.
address that with you
In
one-on-one.
general, the total for the commercial properties went down, but because each of the properties is different, some may have gone up, some may have gone down, but we can look at yours in particular. But in general, overall, the total commercial assessment went down 2%. At least as of the way it looks right now, sitting up on the screen, so.
Nothing else? No other emails? No.
No,
We're good?
nope, I got nothing else.
Madam Chair, I want to ask if there are any other comments,
Any
members
other
of the public?
comments? Anybody that like to fill up a paper and have 3 minutes?
Well, I just one comment to go back to the late bank debt service, which according to what we're looking at on the screen is 154.82. And if we don't spend another dollar, it'll probably stay that way until debt's paid.
Nope.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay, then help me when will
one
that
goes
increase
in,
or
but
decrease?
It's P&I based on balance, correct?
Based on
Yes.
balance.
Even if you can, go. We all hear you, but still, so.
I never spent
Those are good
another nickel.
microphones too,
These are
they
good
would have picked you
yeah, I
up,
can,
so.
So again, for the Lake Bank, that column, whatever is outstanding for that year in principal and interest, we only assess that.
Okay, if we never spend another nickel,
It would go down.
It would, but there is at least one more loan that's on the books that's starting next year. So I don't want to
it's
give
going
you
to
any
keep
hope.
going up.
It's going to go up another, I think we said another $40.
We don't take out any additional loans.
We don't.
And just, I'm sure most people understand the concept, but can you just touch briefly on why you're at the podium? Why we do that? Why do we use bonds? Why do we do debt service and amortize over years? When we're talking about the large projects with the shelf life of 15,
30 years.
I mean, keeping it very simple. If you
$1,000, $150, so that's.
Yeah, but the philosophy behind it.
No, I mean, that's really it, just the power of money and being able to finance your capital projects versus, you talk about swings in your assessments. If you got a $10 million project, I mean, it would just be impossible for residents to finance it all in one
And
year.
also, if you've got something, let's say, an item that has a 30-year shelf life and you have to replace it, or if it's an improvement, it allows us to amortize that over, at 20 years.
Mhm.
So people who live here.
So the current residents today aren't paying for
Right.
everything.
Exactly.
Yes.
You're not
future
paying.
residents coming in
That's the additional benefit.
will have their.
Right. So if you're,
Which I'm sure most people understand, but.
you got a lifespan of 30 years, you're only living here for 10 of those 30. You're not paying for the whole project for the next resident, out of your pocket.
And I
So
think I understood it, but I wanted to make sure
No,
that the
no,
audience.
it's a great point because again,
It
you
will
always,
change.
when you ask about that, it's a balance. You try and do as much as you can with your O&M so that you don't have to finance everything. That's why you want to have reserves. You asked a question earlier, why reserves? Well, because you don't want to have to finance everything because now you're paying for the cost to finance it, just the professionals, you're covering your interest, you don't know where your interest is going to be. So the district has always tried to utilize a balanced approach to that, finance the big projects, finance the ones with the certainty of the time period, and then everything else try and keep it, balanced. So.
And we got some pretty favorable bond rates.
And again, it's the time, yes.
Tara has a question for you.
Yes. About a year, September of last year, we found out that in the Pelican Preserve Fund, there was a situation between inside the gate and outside the gate, and it was going to cost more to the Pelican people, but they used reserves to take up that additional about $200,000 amount.
That was the error, mathematical error.
Because of the new methodology, that would never happen again, correct?
Well, I can't tell you how
There's
many
no
times you've
longer-
used the word silos
Yes.
in these meetings, and that's what that's for.
Okay.
Again, to make sure those silos, to keep that cost separate. And again, that's one of the key reasons why you went through the methodology. We talked quite a bit about other different things, but at the core of some of that was making sure inside, outside the gate, and that worked out moving forward. So yes, that's the short answer
The new
is.
methodology,
the new
we don't have inside the gate and outside the gate anymore. We have the silos instead.
Oh, but yes,
Oh, we
you
do.
still do.
Yeah, we still do.
But the silos
Oh, we
help
still do.
protect it,
Okay,
protect the cost, protect those inside, outside. It didn't go away, but now you've got a methodology that covers it better.
we won't have that situation this
No,
year.
no, you're not.
Okay.
You're not going to have a
You can look on
situation.
this sheet and see just what impact that had, but look at those percentages, inside and outside. Huge, huge difference.
Right. Any other questions for Stephen? No?
One last question. Randy, I know that you're at the other location. Do you have anybody in the room and do they have any comments?
Yep, no one's here,
Okay.
so no
Thank you.
comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea, for that.
I did check in earlier, so
Thank you.
I forgot to mention that, sorry.
Madam Chair, it'd be appropriate for you to close the public hearing. If you wish, maybe have a motion to close the public hearing on the budget.
I so move.
Second.
So we have a motion by Bob, second by Doug. All in favor, say aye to close the
Aye.
public hearing.
Aye.
Now would be the opportunity for the board to have discussion about the budget that the board wishes to adopt. I know there've been a couple of numbers and adjustments. So when the board adopts the resolution adopting the budget, a number of dollar figures need to be inserted in there.
Okay.
So we need to have, I guess, some action by the board as to the various topics you talked about generally.
Okay, so can I make a motion?
I guess we'll go ahead and start with Carol, because Carol
Okay.
was wanting to make a motion for the Lee County Sheriff's Office. This would be the time.
So can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Do we need to vote on each item that we're making?
I would suggest yes,
Yeah.
because then we have to.
Yeah,
Okay,
I believe
all right.
2 or 3.
License plate readers.
Okay.
Okay, I move to eliminate the $40,000 for the license plate readers in the budget.
As an expense. I'll second that.
Discussion.
Okay, so
Purely on the grounds that staff did not receive and/or receive any of the information that we asked for, and then to put salt on the open wound, tell us that we
Public
got
records.
to go through a public records request. I'm voting with you.
and then
I did not receive any feedback since they were in this room last.
and I'm on the same. So we have a motion by Carol, second by Bob. Oh my God, that rain. And I will, and then I will agree with my decision again was last minute, and I didn't feel like I needed to be the one following up for something that they want. So I'll go ahead and call it for a vote. All in favor of eliminating the $40,000 for the LPR camera, say aye.
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 Done.
Okay, now do we need a motion for funding
Carry
the
forward?
The
carry forward
Yes.
Sure.
and the funding reserve of 279,000 by using retain? Okay, I make that motion.
I'll second.
We take the yellow of those three.
Okay.
For clarification,
For
the yellow
right.
option.
So the yellow option of the, so we have a motion
Yellow.
by
Yeah, I want to make sure that that motion includes
paying
the
back.
stipulation of paying it back out of retained earnings.
So that's your motion.
Yes.
Paying the 279 yellow and paying it back
And using the 170,
for the carry forward.
Yes.
170 option, yeah, with the stipulation that it's replenished.
Was that seconded?
I'll
I
second it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a motion by Bob, second by Doug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And,
Done.
and the changes that we made from last version to this version, you agree to the reduction of the 100,000 to the 75,000,
The street sweeping
the street
reduction.
sweeping reduction, and then the added cost to the auditor.
So moved.
Let's, do you want to list it? Let's,
Yeah,
list it. I'll
I-
prefer that
detail
we
it,
list it.
yes.
So we're moving $100,000, so from the $100,000 for salaries, it's going to.
Why don't you just make,
Let me,
75.
I'll
the
go down the
motion.
way I had my
Okay.
list here, if that's okay. We reduced the price of street sweeping in the general fund from 47,000 to 11,000.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Took the $100,000 maximum for the employee COLA funding down to 75,000
I so move.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
and increased the amount of the auditor by $7,500.
I'll approve.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm all about the reductions, Ed. I'll
Yeah,
let
I
you take
noticed you
that.
got very quiet. I noticed you got very quiet. on that one.
I listened to
You
him.
guys just stared at me and I'm like, you said it was okay earlier.
All right, so.
And those changes takes us to
Everything
what we're seeing
reflects
on
what
the,
you're looking at
on the
right here.
screen, which
Yes.
takes the gateway single family
8 to 7.9.
from the percentage change to 8%
Yes.
and 7.9 for.
An increase of $95 for the year, net change.
What we need to do in section 2 of resolution 2025-21, Stephen, you always helps to chime in on that also. We need to have the number to insert in the third line about the appropriations.
Just a minute, please.
Fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026. That amount, then we need to have it broken down by the different categories. It can be inserted for the board to take a vote.
Are the revenue amounts, DE revenue and expense for that?
Some of the expenditures are first. Yeah, that's the,
Stephen, you want to pull those up?
I got them.
it's line 3, the third line of section 2 is the sum of X dollars to be raised to defray all expenditures of the district. And then you break it out by the 5 categories below. And I'm sure if we can just wait for a moment for those calculations to take place.
Music queued up.
I don't have
Kara's phone.
Let's call Carol. We need a call.
Bum, 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 bum.
So I can see what you're asking me for. Hang on.
I don't want to pull the wrong thing, you know.
We're on A still. Item A.
Or Steve, would be helpful to have a brief recess to do that calculation or not?
Like 5 minutes?
Calculations are there. I just need to know what numbers you need. They're right there.
Yeah, are the summary numbers.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so
that's
just
it
make
right
sure that-
there.
So in line 3 of section 2 of resolution 2025-21, the number to be inserted, what's that number then, Laura?
Hang on. That's, I didn't know exactly what you were asking, which number goes on which line, because I didn't have that up on my screen. Okay. So the total is this number right here, 40, correct?
Stephen?
It's these two numbers together.
These those together, if you want to put a quick sum in there. Because that is going to be your
The number that goes in there is 49,872,309.
Okay,
49,872,309.
okay, you see the resolution 2025-21, right? Where that goes?
Yep.
Okay, and then the total general fund appropriation? $15, 153, 298.
You're going to use the two, you're going to use
It's both, yes.
both of them. Just
So-
those two are right there.
So what's that number, Laura?
19,909,568. So
The next is-
1,990,568.
The next is total debt service funds.
I use this here.
That's your total, yes.
So it's 2,349,483. So 2,349,483.
Total debt service.
Yeah.
Total capital project funds.
So
Right here?
technically, those are all combined into those first two numbers, Tony, because
Yes.
So there's no separate category?
we're not having them.
Okay,
That's
but
the
resolution
49
has
million
that separate
includes
category,
both.
So we don't
It
need
does.
that?
Now, we can split it out later for you, but it's included in those two numbers.
Okay, so, but the resolution that's in the book, that's prepared and circulated, has total capital project funds.
That's
You're
what's
saying
been
we don't need
broken
that?
out, yeah.
We don't need that line right now?
We don't,
Okay, so that, okay,
but we can take this and combine it together.
okay.
If you allow the modification to the resolution to say total general fund slash capital project, all the totals will still equal out the same.
Okay. Total general fund slash
Capital project.
capital project fund. So we've combined those two categories. Okay. And the next one is the total enterprise fund amount. That dollar amount.
It is 27,905,329. So 27,905,329.
The total of all funds,
That's the 49,872,309.
so just recap here, going back to the resolution, in section 2 under appropriations, it'll read, there's hereby appropriated out of the revenues of the Gateway Services Community Development District for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026, the sum of $49,872,309 to be divided and appropriated in the following fashion: total general fund / capital project fund, $19,909,568. Total debt service funds, $2,349,483. Total enterprise fund, $27,905,329. For total of all funds of $49,872,309. Is that correct,
Sounds correct.
Stephen?
I'll double check your numbers, yep.
Okay. So that would be the board to adopt the resolution with those revisions and modifications to section 2.
Also moved.
So we have a motion by Bob, second by Carol. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Tony.
Madam Chair, the next public hearing is a public hearing to consider the levying and imposition of special assessments. And as noticed in the caption, it's to receiving public comment on and public hearing to consider the imposition of non-ad valorem special assessments on lands within the district, to fund the fiscal year 2025-2026 proposed final budget, and the adoption of a final non-ad valorem special assessment roll, and to provide for the levy collection and enforcement of the special assessments, and to consider the adoption of resolution 2025-22, making a determination of special benefit and imposing special assessments, and certifying an assessment roll for the fiscal year 2025-26. So the public hearing is now open. Madam Chair? Any registered speakers?
Anybody like to
What
speak on the,
Anybody who spoke on the budget also have the opportunity to speak on this particular action. This is the action whereby the board funds the budget by levying assessments, part of the budget, levying assessments on the properties in the district, the amount, equalizing the rolls, and determining the amount for each property we'll be paying.
Laura, could you put that final chart back up there again so everybody can see it?
My mouse cooperates? Yes, I absolutely can.
No, no,
Madam
what
Chair-
the
I
assessments are.
got to get there, Carol. It's on a different
Madam
tab.
Chair,
Give me a
while
second.
Laura is doing that, in the meeting book are the affidavits of publication of Resolution 2025-18. They're advertised 2 days, 7/13 and 7/20/2025. An affidavit of mailing of the notice assessment letters to the property owners within the district as required by Florida statutes. And previously, as indicated for the budget hearing, we had the affidavit of publication of the hearing for the budget and the assessments twice as required by Florida law.
thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
I knew you'd get all that, no doubt.
And Stephen, as far as calculating what those numbers are going to be.
So nobody would like to speak. I just want to make sure.
My questions and concerns are
Well, if you want to, you can get back.
Yeah.
basically what I spoke of earlier.
Okay. Okay, you can stand up to the podium, please, and just say your name.
My name's Paul Vians. Was the new methodology, is that, because in 2023, I was assessed for 0.7 EAUs, and now I'm at 1.15. And I'm assuming that has to do with the dramatic increase. I'm just not understanding why such a big increase, but also it says that 0.7 to 1.15. Does the 0.7 to 1.15, is that mean that the increase is how much I'm paying?
Yeah,
Do you have
your
your letter?
increase would be specifically to your property, so I wouldn't know, but part of the increase or decrease, it has to do with the new with the new assessment methodology that we do have. So without looking at your individual property, I couldn't tell what percentage came from the assessment methodology or what percentage came from, O&M or capital or whatever, but you'll be able to?
What kind of business?
Yes.
Yep, okay, so Tony, when you had us add in the, it's not 1.15, it's a 1 for administrative services and a 0.15 for the.
Paul, you're, just to be clear, you're comparing your 2023 taxes,
correct.
not your 2024.
No, I,
Or your 2025.
Because I ask because the 2023 bond series debt hit, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, this year. And so you would have seen that from 2023 to 24.
Yes. The letter that you got a year ago for 24 was the first year with the debt assessment for the bond. You're looking at 23 to then you skipped a whole year where we had the first year.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what's really happening here. It's hard to understand all this. All I know is one moment I'm paying a little under 1,000. I mean, I run a business. I got a lot to think about. So I just see numbers, $1,000, $2,400. I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Paul,
You know,
we would love to sit with you and look at your specific parcel one-on-one and try to go through and better explain it.
Yeah,
So
because
we've
I just don't understand why that would be. I mean, it's, basic.
Well, we did take out additional debt for the long-term capital projects. So without looking at your property specifically, and from hearing what you're saying, you're comparing 2023, but I'd love to sit down, Laura and I can sit down with you one-on-one and look at your specific property.
It's the same thing I'm seeing.
But that's what, having heard what you said, I'm believing that's the case.
Okay, and two, the same as TJ was saying, is I just want to see the value there too, as, it's a small space, and so it's,
Sure. And I just want to point out, these two don't get added together. It's one AAU for the
Not by
admin
size,
costs,
not like
and
the
it's
property taxes.
0.15 for Parks and Rec. So there's different, we put the things in silos. So there's admin, which you're getting assessed a 1 for. We have the roadway costs, which are based on trip generation. And then the Parks and Rec, you're only paying 0.15, where the residentials are paying a 1. So you're actually less than the residential properties are paying. So you can't add them together, but we can sit and talk.
Yes.
So it's
It's not the biggest thing that I
1.15,
do
it's-
hear from him is the size of his unit, but this is not like your property taxes that you pay.
Right.
So I think that's the big thing that's different between the district and the county, is that you would pay your property taxes on the size, and that is not how it goes for the district. It's not on the size of your unit. That's how the calculation is made. It's on your stormwater, on your, it's everything else, the
The
infrastructure.
benefit your property receives.
Yeah.
It doesn't based on the size and the value of your property. It's not
That's
based
like
on.
the biggest difference.
Right.
If the phrase non-ad valorem means it's not based upon value.
Paul, can you add your phone number and maybe an email and we can meet with you?
And then you're going to meet with him as well,
Lauren, yes.
as well?
We're pulling your
Perfect.
information up too right now.
All right, so Tony, what are we saying?
Yeah,
Flavia, I failed to mention earlier, talking about the added benefits for the commercial parcels, it's stormwater as well. It may not be for your building stormwater parking lot, but we do clean all of our district stormwater pipes, which lead into the ponds, which end up leading to the 6 Mile Cypress Slough. So it is a broader benefit to the entire Gateway community.
It keeps the roads dry so you can get to the buildings also.
Yeah.
Stormwater management system helps take the runoff from the roads. Madam Chair, I think there's no other public.
Yeah, ma'am, thank you. Go ahead, Tony.
If there are
Do
no
do
other
you
public
like to speak?
comments,
Do you have a comment? Okay. Go ahead,
then
Tony.
be appropriate to have a motion to close the public hearing?
All right, so do I have a motion?
So made.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So
All right.
Laura, and Stephen, the revisions to the preliminary assessment roll will be made based upon the actions by the board in adopting the budget. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct.
And the revisions are be reflected, is that what you have up on the screen, Laura? Does that reflect all the changes to the budget? that the
Assessment
board
roll is
made?
already updated. This is all done.
No,
Everything's
that
good.
includes
Yes.
the street
Yes.
sweeper, the cameras.
Yes, everything we discussed is included in there.
This update will be labeled version 7, I hope.
It's version 6.
Well, 6 you already
Version
got. it.
7.
This will be labeled the adopted budget.
Yes.
Okay, we're version 7, but yes.
He did his versions.
Yeah, no, we're out of versions.
I know, okay.
Adopted budget.
So anyway, we'll get that in an email then. I would
Once it's ready, yes.
request, yes,
We
okay.
have to publish it on the website, so it'll be there
And
as well.
secondarily, I would like to get copies of Stephen's slides as a separate email if I can for my records.
Sure.
They're in the, and
They're in the board packet.
we'll email it to you.
I didn't see his in the board packet.
They are.
Okay,
And-
that's why I wanted a separate email. I can't find that crap.
In the board by adopt the
looking
budget.
youthful.
And if the board adopts, Stephen, tell me if I'm wrong,
Three
or
more.
when the board adopts the resolution
Don't look that young.
2025-22, levying the assessments will be levied per the schedule that's outlined, that's described on the screen right now. So each of the properties listed in the preliminary assessment roll will have adjustments made to their assessments based upon the actions the board took today in adopting the budget. Correct, Stephen?
And that'll
So
be
part-
like an attachment to,
It's
Yes.
part
or
of an
attachment
exhibit.
B to this deal.
And so the final assessment roll then will be sent to the property appraiser and tax collector's office. So, any other questions, Stephen? You believe it's appropriate and we're in order for the adopting the roll and levying the assessments and adopt the resolution?
I'm sorry?
So are you comfortable that the board's in a position to adopt resolution 25-22?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And Laura, Chelsea, you're all good?
Yes.
We're fine.
All right,
Yes.
so
So
we
the
need a
appropriate action would
motion.
be
I'll
for
make
the
the
board.
motion that we adopt Resolution 2522.
I'll second your motion. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have anything else, Chelsea? Saw the pen.
Motion to
roll.
adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
David, thank you. Good seeing you.
I know, right? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, thank you, everyone.
You'll get, Laura, you'll get with Russ.
He's been online the whole time.
He's going to make the final, you got the workbook, Stephen?
Yeah, the workbook's, it's linked, he's got it all linked.
So, okay, so that can be done.
I know, right?
Thank you.
Just a little
One
rain.
last time, make sure everything's aligned.
Thank you.
Yeah, because let me shut all
Good
this
deal,
off
thank
before
you.
we talk.
Rush to get outside and get
Thank you,
rid of.
Bob.
Yes.